I never thought I'd be the kind of woman standing in an empty bedroom at 6 in the morning, staring at a closet that used to hold my husband's clothes. But there I was, wearing the same pajamas I'd worn for 2 days straight, looking at empty hangers swaying slightly from where I'd ripped open the door. My hands were shaking. They hadn't stopped shaking since I woke up an hour ago and realized Gerald's side of the bed was cold. Not just cold from him getting up early. Cold like nobody had slept there at all. I walked to his dresser and pulled open the drawers one by one. Empty. 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 His watches were gone from the box on top. His cufflinks. Even the stupid cologne I bought him last Christmas that he never wore. Mum? I spun around. Tommy stood in the doorway, already dressed for school even though it was barely light outside. His backpack was on his shoulders. He looked so small standing there, but his eyes were calm. Too calm for a 10-year-old who should be asking where his father went. "Hey, baby," I said, trying to smile. My voice cracked. "Did you sleep okay? Dad's gone, isn't he?" Tommy said it like he was commenting on the weather. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. How do you tell your child that his father just vanished? That the man who taught him to ride a bike and helped with homework just disappeared like smoke? "Come here," I finally managed. But Tommy didn't move toward me for a hug. Instead, he shifted his backpack and said, "Mom, you need to check the computer. The banking stuff." Something cold dropped into my stomach. "What do you mean?" "Just check it, please." I followed him downstairs to Gerald's office. My legs felt like they belonged to someone else. Tommy set his backpack down and wiggled the mouse to wake up the computer. The screen lit up, showing Gerald's desktop. He'd left it unlocked. Gerald never left anything unlocked. Tommy clicked on the browser and pulled up our bank's website. He didn't even have to log in. Gerald had saved the password. The joint account page loaded. Balance, $23.47. I blinked. Then blinked again. That couldn't be right. We had over $800,000 in that account. Gerald's business had been doing well. We'd been saving for years. "Check the college fund," Tommy said quietly. My fingers were numb as I navigated to the college savings account. The one I'd been putting money into since the day Tommy was born. Every birthday, every Christmas, every bonus Gerald got. 10 years of saving. Balance, $0. The room tilted. I grabbed the desk to keep from falling. $847,000. Gone. Tommy's entire future. Gone. Just gone. "There's a note," Tommy said, pointing to a piece of paper next to the keyboard. I picked it up with trembling hands. Gerald's handwriting. Sharp and efficient like always. "Linda, I'm sorry it had to be this way. Vanessa and I are starting fresh somewhere new. Don't try to find us. The money will help us build the life we deserve. You'll be fine. You're strong. Tell Tommy I'm sorry." Gee, the paper slipped from my fingers and floated to the floor. I couldn't breathe. The edges of my vision went dark and fuzzy. Vanessa, his secretary. The woman who smiled at me at the Christmas party. The woman who called our house asking for Gerald at odd hours. The woman I'd told myself I was being paranoid about. My knees gave out. I slid down the wall and landed hard on the carpet of Gerald's office. The office I'd decorated for him. The office where I'd brought him coffee every morning for 12 years. Sobs came up from somewhere deep in my chest. Ugly, choking sobs that I couldn't control. He'd taken everything. Not just the money. He'd taken 12 years of my life. He'd taken my trust. He'd taken the future I'd imagined for our son. Mom. I couldn't look at Tommy. I couldn't let him see me like this. Mom! Look at me! I forced my eyes up. Tommy was crouching in front of me, and his face was serious. Not scared. Not crying. Just serious. "Don't worry too much," he said. His voice was steady. "I think I already handled it." I stared at him. Handled it? What could a 10-year-old possibly handle about this nightmare? But before I could ask, my phone buzzed, then buzzed again, and again. I pulled it from my pocket with shaking hands. 3 missed calls from my father. 2 from my sister Patricia. 5 text messages. I opened the first one from Patricia. "Linda, call me right now. Where are you? Is everything okay?" Then, one from my father. "Your sister told me about Gerald. I'm coming over. Don't do anything until I get there." How did they already know? Had Gerald called them? Had someone seen him leaving? "I called them," Tommy said, answering my unspoken question. "About 20 minutes ago. They should be here soon." "Tommy, what do you mean you handled it?" My voice came out as a whisper. He looked at me for a long moment, and something flickered across his face. Something that looked almost like a smile. Not a happy smile. Something else. "You'll see, Mum. Just trust me, okay? Everything's going to be fine." Then I heard car doors slamming outside. Voices. My father's deep rumble and Patricia's higher pitch. They were here. But I couldn't stop looking at my son's face, trying to understand what that expression meant. The next 3 days blurred together like watercolors in the rain. I stopped sleeping properly. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Gerald's empty closet or that number on the screen. 0. My entire life had been reduced to 0. My father took over everything with the efficiency of a military general. He made phone calls to lawyers, accountants, anyone who might help. He sat at our kitchen table with his reading glasses on, going through papers and shaking his head. "I told you," he said more than once. "I told you that man was trouble from the day you brought him home. Men like Gerald, they only care about themselves." I was too numb to argue. Maybe he'd been right all along. Patricia practically moved in. She slept in the guest room and made meals I couldn't eat. She did laundry and answered the phone when reporters started calling. Apparently word had gotten out that Gerald Morrison had vanished with his secretary and a small fortune. Our neighbors probably loved the drama. "You need to eat something," Patricia said on the 3rd morning, sliding a plate of eggs in front of me. I pushed it away. "I'm not hungry." "Linda, you're wasting away. Tommy needs you to be strong." "Tommy." I looked toward the stairs. He'd been in his room almost constantly since that first morning. I could hear the clicking of his keyboard through the door. When I'd check on him, he'd minimize whatever was on his screen and smile at me. "Just doing homework, Mom," he'd say. But school had called. Tommy hadn't turned in assignments all week. They were concerned. I'd promised to talk to him, but I couldn't find the energy to parent right now. I could barely find the energy to breathe. "I'll talk to my lawyer friend about the divorce," my father said, joining us at the table. "We need to move fast before Gerald hides more assets. And Linda, I have to tell you something else." My stomach dropped. "What now?" I did some digging. Gerald didn't just take the savings. He maxed out 3 credit cards in your name. Spent about $68,000 in the last month alone. The room spun. "What? High-end purchases, hotels, jewelry, probably buying things for that woman." His face was red with anger. "The bills will start coming to you. You're liable for all of it. I don't have $68,000. I don't have anything." My voice was rising. "How am I supposed to pay that?" "The house," my father said quietly. "You might need to sell it." "I'm sorry, sweetheart, but we need to be realistic. This house. The house where Tommy took his first steps. Where we'd celebrated every birthday and holiday. Where I'd imagined growing old." "No." The word came out stronger than I expected. "This is Tommy's home. I won't take that from him too." Patricia put her hand on mine. "Linda, be reasonable. You have no income. Massive debt. You can't afford the mortgage on this place." "Then I'll get a job. I'll figure something out." "Doing what?" "You haven't worked in 10 years. Who's going to hire you?" The words stung because they were true. I'd given up my accounting career when Tommy was born. Gerald had insisted we didn't need my income, that I should focus on being a mother. I'd been so happy to agree. How stupid I'd been. That night, I couldn't sleep again. I got up around 11 and went downstairs for water. The light was on under Tommy's door. I knocked softly. "Come in, Mum." He was sitting at his desk, his laptop open. When he saw me, he quickly closed it. "You should be asleep," I said. "So should you." "Fair point." I sat on the edge of his bed. "Tommy, we need to talk about what you said. About handling things." "What did you mean?" He looked at me for a long moment. In the dim light from his desk lamp, he looked older than 10. There was something in his eyes I'd never noticed before. Something careful and calculating. "You'll see soon, Mum, I promise. Just trust me a little longer." "Baby, I know you want to help, but this is grown-up stuff. I know it's grown-up stuff," he interrupted. "That's why I had to do something. Dad wasn't going to stop. And nobody else was going to protect us." The way he said it made my skin prickle. "What are you talking about? Dad wasn't going to stop what?" Tommy opened his mouth, then closed it. "Just a few more days. Please." I wanted to push harder, but I was so tired. Too tired to fight with my son on top of everything else. I kissed his forehead and left him alone. As I walked past the guest room, I heard Patricia's voice. She was on the phone, speaking quietly. I paused outside the door. "No, she doesn't suspect anything yet," Patricia was saying. "Just give it another week and we'll be clear. She's too much of a mess to notice." My heart stopped. I pressed my ear closer to the door. I know. Just keep your head down. Once the dust settles, we can move forward with the plan." "What plan?" What was she talking about? I burst through the door. Patricia jumped, nearly dropping her phone. "Who are you talking to?" I demanded. "Linda! God, you scared me!" She put her hand over her chest. "I'm just talking to Kevin about Mum's birthday party. We're planning a surprise for next month." "A surprise party? That's what you're discussing at midnight?" "He works late shifts. This was the only time to call." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "You should go back to bed. You look exhausted." I stood there, studying my sister's face. Was I being paranoid? Was grief making me imagine things? "Yeah," I finally said. "Maybe you're right." But as I walked back to my room, I couldn't shake the feeling that something else was happening. Something I couldn't see yet. Something that involved my own family. 6 days after Gerald disappeared, I'd stopped counting hours and started counting heartbeats. Each one felt like it might be my last. The debt collectors had started calling. The mortgage company sent a letter. Reality was closing in like walls in a nightmare you can't wake up from. My father had taken over the dining room table completely. Papers everywhere. Legal documents with words that swam in front of my eyes. Bankruptcy, foreclosure, liquidation. Words that meant losing everything. "We file tomorrow," he announced at dinner. "Bankruptcy is your only option, Linda. It'll protect you from the credit card debt. But it'll ruin my credit for years," I said weakly. "Your credit is already ruined." Gerald saw to that. He said Gerald's name like a curse word. Patricia brought more food I wouldn't eat. She'd been staying with us for almost a week now, constantly hovering, constantly on her phone. I'd catch her smiling at the screen sometimes, then quickly putting it away when she noticed me watching. Tommy ate in silence. He'd barely spoken in days. Just stayed in his room with that computer, clicking away at something. When I'd asked him about school again, he'd just said, "It's handled, Mum." Everything was handled according to my son. But nothing felt handled. Everything felt like it was falling apart. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. The house was quiet except for the occasional creak of old wood settling. I'd just started to drift off when my phone rang. The screen lit up the dark room. Gerald's name. My heart exploded in my chest. I sat up so fast my head spun. For 6 days, nothing. Complete silence. And now he was calling? I answered with shaking hands. "Hello?" "What did you do?" Gerald's voice was so loud I had to pull the phone away from my ear. He was screaming. Actually screaming. What the hell did you do? Gerald? What are you? The accounts are frozen. All of them. The police showed up at my hotel. They're asking questions about money laundering and fraud. His voice cracked with panic. They have records, Linda. Transactions I never made. Emails I never sent. I don't understand what you're talking about. You're the one who stole everything. Your father, he shouted. Your sister. They set me up. This whole thing was a setup. What? That doesn't make any sense. You left me. You took the money. I didn't take all of it. I took what I needed to start over, yes, but not. He stopped, breathing hard. Patricia's been bleeding me dry for months. Your father, too. They've been blackmailing me, Linda. Did you know that? Did you know your own family has been destroying us? My mouth went dry. You're lying! I'm not! Check the records. Check Patricia's accounts. That vacation she took to Hawaii last month? I paid for it. Your father's casino debts? I've been paying those off for 8 months. They threatened to tell you about... He stopped again. Tell me about what? Silence. Then, quieter. About the affair. From 5 years ago. Before Vanessa. They found out. And they've been using it against me ever since. 5 years ago. When he'd been working late every night. When he'd been distant and cold. I'd suspected something, but convinced myself I was being paranoid. You cheated on me 5 years ago, I said flatly. Linda, that's not the point right now. You cheated on me, then you let my family blackmail you. Then you stole our money and ran away with your secretary. And now you're calling to tell me this is somehow my fault. I'm calling because someone reported me to the FBI. Someone gave them detailed records of every transaction, every email, every phone call. Who else could it be but you? I've been falling apart for 6 days, Gerald. I haven't reported anything to anyone. Then who? His voice cut off. I heard other voices in the background. Official-sounding voices. I have to go. The lawyers are here. Linda, if you didn't do this, then you need to find out who did, because they set all of us up. Your father, your sister, me, all of us. The line went dead. I sat there in the dark, phone in my trembling hand, trying to process what he'd just said. Patricia blackmailing Gerald? My father involved? It was insane. It had to be lies. Gerald was a liar. He'd proven that. But something nagged at me. Patricia's late-night phone calls. The way she smiled at her phone. How quickly she'd moved in here. How she and my father kept exchanging glances when they thought I wasn't looking. My door opened. I jumped. Tommy stood in the doorway, backlit by the hall light. He wasn't smiling. He looked serious and older than any 10-year-old should look. That was Dad, wasn't it? He said. How did you know? I heard you talking. He walked into my room and closed the door behind him. Then he went to my dresser and pulled out his laptop from behind it. Had he been hiding it in my room? Mom, we need to talk. Right now. Tommy, it's almost midnight. Mom. His voice was firm. Adult. Sit down. Please. Something in his tone made me obey. I sat on the edge of my bed while my 10-year-old son opened his laptop and turned it to face me. The screen showed files. Dozens of them. Emails. Bank statements. Recorded phone calls. I need to show you something, Tommy said. And you're not going to like it. But you need to see the truth about what's really been happening in this family. His fingers moved across the keyboard, and a video file opened. It was dated 3 months ago. Security footage from Gerald's office. And in it, clear as day, was my sister Patricia kissing my husband. I couldn't breathe. The image on the screen blurred as tears filled my eyes. Patricia and Gerald, my sister and my husband, kissing in his office like teenagers. Keep watching, Tommy said quietly. The video continued. They pulled apart and Patricia was laughing. Then she said something I couldn't hear. Tommy clicked another file and audio played. You need to transfer another $20,000 by Friday. Patricia's voice came through crystal clear. Robert's debt is getting serious. They're threatening to break his legs. I can't keep doing this, Gerald said. He sounded exhausted. Linda's going to notice eventually. Then you'll deal with it, unless you want her to know about the affair and the other stuff. Patricia's voice turned cold. The stuff that could send you to prison. My hand flew to my mouth. Tommy paused the audio. There's more, he said. A lot more. He clicked through files methodically, like he was giving a presentation at school. Each one worse than the last. Bank transfers from Gerald's accounts to Patricia's. 15,000 here, 20,000 there. Over 8 months, he'd given her almost $200,000. Then emails between Patricia and my father, planning, coordinating. My father telling her exactly how much he needed to cover gambling debts. Patricia responding with updates on how much she'd gotten from Gerald. But why? I whispered. Why would they do this? Tommy pulled up another file. An email from 6 months ago. Patricia to my father. Linda got everything when Mum died. The inheritance. The house. Everything. She doesn't even appreciate it. She just plays housewife while we struggle. Gerald's loaded and she doesn't even touch his money. It's all just sitting there. If we can bleed him dry and make them divorce, Linda will have nothing. Then we can finally get what we deserve. The words felt like knives. My own sister. My own father. They'd been planning to destroy my life out of jealousy and greed. How did you get all this? I asked. Tommy looked down at his hands. 2 months ago, I needed Dad's computer for a school project. Mine was updating. I found a file he'd hidden badly. Just old emails with Patricia. I got curious and started looking deeper. Tommy, you hacked your father's computer. I taught myself how. YouTube videos mostly. He said it so casually. Once I knew what to look for, I set up programs to copy everything automatically. Every email he sent or received. Every phone call on his office line. Every bank transaction. I've been collecting evidence for 8 weeks. I stared at my child. My baby boy who still slept with his stuffed elephant. He'd been running a surveillance operation like some kind of spy. The college fund, I said suddenly. Gerald said it was empty. It's not empty. Tommy pulled up another screen. A bank account I didn't recognize. I transferred it 3 weeks ago. When I realized Dad was planning to run, I created a trust account in my name and moved every penny. Dad tried to take it when he left, but it was already gone. How did you, Tommy? That's illegal. You can't just forge documents and move money around. You're 10 years old. I know it was illegal. His voice was steady. But someone had to protect us, Mom. Dad wasn't going to stop. Patricia and Grandpa weren't going to stop. They were going to take everything until we had nothing left. My mind was spinning. The FBI. Gerald said they came to his hotel. Did you? I submitted an anonymous tip with all the evidence. About the money laundering, the blackmail, the fraud, everything. He looked up at me with those serious eyes. I couldn't let them get away with it. Oh God. Tommy, do you understand what you've done? You've reported your own father, your grandfather, your aunt. They're criminals, Mom. They were stealing from us. From you. His voice cracked slightly. I couldn't just watch them hurt you anymore. I pulled him into my arms and held him tight. He was shaking now, the adult mask finally cracking. He was still just a little boy who'd been carrying an enormous weight for months. Why didn't you tell me? I whispered into his hair. Because you loved him. You trusted everyone. I knew you wouldn't believe me without proof. And I knew if I told you too early, they might find out and destroy the evidence. We sat there for a long moment. Then I heard footsteps on the stairs. Heavy ones. My father's. Linda? He called. Are you awake? We need to talk about the bankruptcy papers. Tommy and I looked at each other. He'd reported everyone to the FBI, which meant they'd be coming. Maybe they were already building their case. Maybe they already had warrants. What happens now? I whispered. Before Tommy could answer, the doorbell rang. At midnight. Long, official-sounding rings. My father's footsteps stopped. I heard Patricia's door open. "Who's at the door this late?" she called. Tommy closed his laptop. "That'll be them." "Who?" "The FBI. I told them everything yesterday. I figured they'd move fast once they verified the evidence." The doorbell rang again. More insistent. Then heavy knocking. "FBI, open the door." I heard my father curse loudly downstairs. Patricia started talking rapidly, her voice panicked. Tommy looked at me with those old eyes in his young face. "I'm sorry, Mom, but they had to pay for what they did. All of them." Downstairs, the front door opened. Official voices filled the house. My father was shouting. Patricia was crying. And my 10-year-old son had orchestrated the whole thing. The FBI agents stood in our living room like dark pillars. 2 men in suits, badges clipped to their belts, faces professionally neutral. My father sat on the couch, his face purple with rage. Patricia was crying into her hands, mascara running down her cheeks. And I stood on the stairs with Tommy, watching my family fall apart. "Robert Chen, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud and money laundering," the taller agent said. He pulled out handcuffs. "You have the right to remain silent." "This is ridiculous," my father shouted. "I'm the victim here. My son-in-law stole from my daughter." "Sir, we have 8 months of documented transactions. Your gambling debts, the payments from Gerald Morrison, the coordination with your daughter Patricia." The agent's voice was flat. "We have everything." Patricia looked up at me then. Her eyes were red and wild. "Linda, you have to believe me. This wasn't supposed to happen like this. We were just trying to help you see what Gerald really was. We were trying to protect you. By blackmailing my husband? By stealing from me?" My voice was surprisingly steady. "We weren't stealing from you. We were taking from him." Patricia stood up, her voice rising. "He's the bad guy, Linda. He cheated on you. He was planning to leave anyway. We just made sure we got something out of it first." "Patricia Chen," the second agent said. "You're also under arrest. Extortion, fraud, conspiracy." "No!" Patricia lunged toward me. "Linda, tell them this is a mistake. I'm your sister." The agent caught her arm and pulled her back. She fought against him, screaming now. "Linda, please, we're family." Family. The word felt hollow. Tommy's hand slipped into mine. He was watching everything with that calm, analytical expression. Like he'd predicted every moment of this. "Ma'am," the taller agent addressed me. "We need to speak with you and your son. Not under arrest," he added quickly. "But we have questions about how this information came to us." 20 minutes later, Patricia and my father were gone. Taken away in separate cars, still protesting. The house felt enormous and empty without them. The agents sat across from Tommy and me at the kitchen table. The same table where my father had spread out bankruptcy papers just hours ago. "Your son provided us with extensive evidence," the taller agent said. His name was Anderson. Documentation that would have taken our forensic accountants months to compile. It was incredibly detailed work. "He's 10, I said weakly. "We're aware." Anderson looked at Tommy. "Son, do you understand that what you did accessing private emails, recording phone calls without consent, transferring money without authorization, those are serious crimes?" Tommy nodded. "Yes, sir, I know." "Then why did you do it?" "Because my mum needed help. And nobody else was going to help her." Tommy's voice was quiet but firm. "They were all stealing from us. I had to stop them." The agents exchanged glances. The shorter one, whose name was Williams, leaned forward. "Under normal circumstances, we'd have to charge you too. What you did violated several federal laws." My heart stopped. "Please. He's just a child. He was trying to protect." Williams held up his hand. "Let me finish. Under normal circumstances, we'd charge him. But given his age, the circumstances, and the fact that his information led to the arrest of 3 adults engaged in serious financial crimes, we're willing to make an exception. I felt tears of relief slide down my face. However, Anderson said, your son needs to be evaluated by a child psychologist. What he did shows advanced capabilities, but also concerning behavior for someone his age. We're mandating counseling as a condition of not pressing charges. I'll take him, I said immediately. Whatever he needs. Over the following weeks, the full story came out. Gerald had been charged with embezzlement from his own company. He'd been using client escrow funds to pay my father and Patricia, trying to keep them quiet about his affair and some shady real estate deals that could have destroyed his career. Vanessa had been innocent. She genuinely believed Gerald loved her and that his marriage was over. She'd known nothing about the money. The college fund was returned to Tommy's trust account. The FBI helped me recover most of the stolen savings. Not all of it. Patricia had spent tens of thousands on clothes and trips, but enough. Enough to keep the house. Enough to start over. The credit card debt was traced back to Gerald and Patricia working together. Those charges were wiped from my name. I went back to work. A small accounting firm downtown hired me despite my 10-year gap. They said anyone who could raise a son as smart as Tommy must have something special. I didn't tell them that my special son had just taken down his own father and grandfather with a laptop and determination. Tommy started therapy twice a week. Dr. Brooks said he was showing signs of being gifted but also traumatized by having to be the adult in our family for so long. She said with proper support, he'd be fine. He just needed to learn to be a kid again. 3 months after that terrible night, Tommy and I sat on the back porch eating ice cream. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink. He'd actually played with friends that afternoon instead of sitting at his computer. Progress. Mom? He said, licking chocolate from his spoon. Yeah, baby? Are you mad at me? For what I did? I looked at my son. My brilliant, damaged, protective son, who'd carried the weight of our world on his small shoulders. No, I said honestly. I'm not mad. I'm sad that you had to do it. I'm sad that I didn't protect you better. That I didn't see what was happening. You taught me something important, though, Tommy said. He looked at me with those old eyes. You always said family protects family. I was just making sure we protected the right people. I pulled him close. This child who'd saved us both. You're right. Family protects family. And sometimes family is just the 2 of us. And that's enough. He leaned his head against my shoulder. Yeah, Mum. That's enough. The sun finished setting. The sky went dark. But inside our house, our saved house, the lights were warm and bright. We'd lost almost everything. My husband, my father, my sister, my trust, my innocence. But we'd kept what mattered. Each other, the truth, and a future that belonged to us alone. Sometimes the people who hurt you most are the ones you love, and sometimes your greatest protector comes in the smallest package. Tommy had taught me that blood doesn't make family. Loyalty does. Love does. Protection does. And as we sat there in the growing darkness, I realized something else. I'd spent 12 years trying to build a perfect family. But perfection was a lie. What we had now scarred, smaller, rebuilt from ruins, this was real. This was enough. This was home.